Living here in Texas, we all become familiar with the importance of having proper foundation. And the foundation messes up, everything else in the house messes up. You start seeing cracks, door starts opening, and you start seeing a line going up the wall into the ceiling. It's because the house does not have good foundation and it needs work. So in the same way, when we as a church, when we as individual Christians are not set on good foundation, on the proper foundation, we also crack. We also start to open up in places where it should be, and we start seeing flaws, not only in the house of the Lord, but also in our individual lives. And that's what Peter is trying to explain to us, using the house as a metaphor, because the cornerstone sets the tone for the rest of the house. Christ is the foundation for the church. When we do not have Christ as a foundation of the church, when we do not have Christ as a foundation for our lives, we begin to stumble, we begin to crack, and eventually we fail. The question for us today as individual Christians and collectively as a church, is Christ the foundation of your life? Is Jesus the cornerstone of your life? Are there evidence that Christ is the foundation of your life? Is there evidence that Christ is the cornerstone of this church? Coming together as a spiritual house, as a house of God, we are now part of the house of God, not as dead bones, but as living stones. And as living stones, you have a calling, you have a purpose to live into what God has called us to. Because here in this house of God, we all have a role. And that is to continue the work of the church, to continue furthering the kingdom of God, to proclaim the goodness of Christ, to proclaim the promises of God wherever we may find ourselves in the world.